Hi, welcome to Math Esteem Moments with Itunu. Build your math esteem confidence one problem at a time. Math esteem is self-esteem. In our previous class, we talked about introduction to algebra, and now we are moving to variables and coefficients of algebraic expressions. Now, what is a variable? We talked about variable before. I just want to do a short recap because of this topic. Okay, so now a variable is a letter such as X or Y. It could be any letter, so such as X or Y, used to represent a number. They are known as variables because their values can vary. That means they change. When you see IE in mathematics, it just talks about that is. That's what it means. That is. So that is change. All right, so now we come to coefficient. What's a coefficient? Now, a coefficient is a number placed beside a variable or group of variables or letters. Now, usually a coefficient is written before you write the letters. For example, if you have 3x, the coefficient here will be 3. And you know there is an invisible plus here, so that means the coefficient is plus 3. All right, so when we have group of letters, it could be, let's say you have minus 5xy. Group of letters. That means x and y is a group of letters. All right, so the coefficient here is minus 5. That is, usually when you have a negative in mathematics, you do not discard it. It's very important when you have a negative. That means the coefficient here is minus 5. That's, if you notice, it's placed beside. And I said it earlier that usually the coefficients are written before the variables are written. So that is the number beside the variable. Let's do some examples. So the question says, write down the coefficients of the following expressions. Expressions, what are the coefficients? So number one, of course, the variables in number one. What are the variables in number one? You have the x and the y. They are the variables. Now, that means the coefficient of x. What's the coefficient of x? Of course, it's plus 7. You can decide to write maybe just 7 or plus 7. So it's fine. Because we're just coming into it, we're just getting into algebra. That's why I'm still writing plus. The time will come when I'll stop writing plus. But when it comes to negative, you must impute the negative. All right, so what is the coefficient of y? The coefficient of y here is plus 15. That is it. The sign before the number, or you can decide to write it as just 15. The sign beside the number is usually very important. We do not discard it. All right, so now let's come to number 2. We have, this is a group of letters. That's it, a group of letters, x and y, and here you have the y square. Those are the variables. Now, what is the coefficient of x, y? Here, the coefficient of xy, that's the number beside it, that is minus 5. That's the coefficient of xy. Now, what's the coefficient of y squared? That's the number beside y, including the sign, that is plus 6. Or you can decide to write it as just 6. You can decide to write it as just 6. Okay, so now let's come to this number 3. Now look at this. This is a group of letters, right? All right, so now we have it. What's the coefficient of x squared, y cubed, and z? That is the number just beside it, just before writing it. So that means the coefficient of x squared, y cubed, and z is minus 25. Now let's come to number 4. What is the coefficient of x squared here? Now, when you have this, there's no visible number here, right? So the coefficient of x squared is 1. Please take note of it. It's very important. That means 1. For example, I can decide to say 1 apple. If I say an apple, that is 1 apple, right? But if you say 2 apples, that means you've included a number. So an or a represents 1. It's just what we have here. So since they didn't write any number, that means automatically the coefficient of that variable is 1. Now, looking at this group of letters, x and y, what is the coefficient here? That is, of course, since they didn't write anything, that means it's a 1, an invisible 1. Then the sign here is negative, so that is minus 1. That is it. The coefficient of this group of letters x and y is -1 because it's an invisible one. Now from here, coefficients can also be in form of fractions. It's not just the whole number, it's fractions. So look at it. What is the number that we have before we wrote our x? That's variable. That is 3/5. And remember, it is an invisible plus here, right? So the coefficient of x is 3/5. All right, so for every time we have a class, just know that you're going to have some questions to try, okay? So it's not difficult at all. Do not panic. Just follow my explanations and try to do it. So I'll be expecting your answers in the comment section. So please write it and send it to me. Those are the questions. Write down the coefficients of the following expressions. So the questions.
Every math problem is solved with your confidence. Keep learning, keep shining. See you in the next math testing moment with Itunu.